Happy Thursday, everyone. Hello and welcome. My name is Josh. On the wrong lead, I am live from Clark's unfinished pool for some reason. Yeah, we got a good show for you. With someone with a slightly better background, Mr. Caleb Knight. You got, I believe it's a beautiful Keeneland there behind you.
It is. It's a preview of what you and I will be seeing in, what is it, 2 weeks now, huh?
Yeah.
It's coming up.
I realized that it was October, and I was like, oh yeah, it's like October 1st or 2nd or something, and then I'm like, it's like October 7th already. So the time is just flying by. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I know there's still some stuff up in the air, but yeah, it should be a good time. Yeah, and that's what we got coming out this week. We got Keeneland starting up, and yeah, it should be good. There's just some really good racing this weekend at Keeneland. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just a stacked card.
It's loaded. Saturday is such a good card.
Yeah, and this all stakes pick 5 is just going to be nice. I know they got I think Naira's running that pick 6 again with all the win your ins as well, the $1 pick 6. So yeah, there's going to be plenty good wagering on some good solid racing. But one man I know who enjoys not so solid racing, Mr. Middle Move over here, BD Horse Player. How you doing, man?
Man, what's up with them enjoying not nice racing? I feel like that's a slight because I might have been playing the muddy Indiana Grand today.
Dude, I don't know what everyone was talking about Belmont in our chat today, and talking about Keeneland, and I think Ryder Dave was talking about Santa Anita tomorrow, and like you're firing away at Indiana Grand.
I stay loyal, man. I like that track, even with that 3-horse race that happened in race 6 because it came off the turf. It was a fun little race. They went 1, 2, and 3 all the way around the track. So, I mean, when a 1 to 5 comes home, you boom that sometimes.
You got to meet my old man. Between the two of you at Indiana Grand, y'all would get along.
Yeah, Jimmy Two Eyes saying Keeneland fall meat, $3 pick 3 and 3 cherry specials. It doesn't get any better than that. I was watching Papo today, and who was it? I think it was Ryan Hauer, who hangs out here all the time. He was talking about 3 cherry horses in chat when we were sitting there looking at Gulfstream. Speaking, I mean, Brian, you seem like the quintessential Gulfstream player. Like I'm surprised you don't play more Gulfstream. That seems like your jam.
I was playing Gulfstream today, and I was having a great time. I almost went on to see if Papa was on today because I was like, I'm sitting here. I should probably see if he's doing anything. But I actually like the Tapeta surface down there. I don't know if you saw my comment in one of the chats. It looks so much firmer than Turfway. So it's playing differently than Turfway did. I'm enjoying it. I think the championship meets can be exciting.
I was laughing because I was watching Papo's stream today, and he's like, yeah, there hasn't been anyone going wire to wire. And sure enough, as soon as he says that, the next race goes wire to wire. Now, granted, it was a mile on a Tapeta, and they went 45 and 50 and 4.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like, if you're not going to wire that, like, no one's ever going to wire there. But speaking of a man who just I know loves synthetic surfaces, Mark Capitan.
Yeah, before you were leading in with the lover of terrible tracks, and I assumed that I was getting called up on that, considering I did hit the Mountaineer pick 5 last night, and so.
I love how much of a degenerate we turned you into, because if there is one thing I remember, when we first started with Discord, you were just very Mr. Oh, I only play Saratoga, and I spot play Belmont, and I spot play Aqueduct, and now it's like you're like, hey, when's Delta Down start? It's
The
something
terrible
else,
part
man.
is if you pull my ROI by track, my top 5 are literally the like bottom of the barrel. It's a sad state of affairs. It really is.
Hey, $500 or $1,000 pick 5 pays the same at Indiana Grand as it does at Saratoga. So
No, it
That it
doesn't.
does.
No. Who's your
Doesn't?
money? Whose your money goes farther?
is it that low cost of living?
There it is. Yes. And to marry your cousin, it's only $25. So I mean, lots of perks here.
Yeah, you're not
Not
in
West
that
Virginia.
part. Funny enough, so today, before we were going on stream, so I hit a get out exacta at Belmont to get me even for the day in that last race, so like I'm like, oh man, what else is running tonight? And I was like, Charlestown, and so I went and I was getting ready to download the PP, and I was like, wait a second. But I'm thinking about playing Charlestown. I think I need to take a step back. So luckily, I didn't download anything else for today. But
Are you trying to imply you have standards as far as tracks are concerned?
You know,
Because I don't know about that. I mean,
I'm
we've been
calling
a long
bullshit.
time. And
Remington is going into the second race right now. How do you not have those PPs in front of you, Josh?
Well, Remington, I'll play some Remington. So let me grab those.
I want you to look at the second race, number 5 scratched out. I want you to tell me, can you believe this horse is at Remington? I don't want to ruin it for you. Build it up, excite you.
All right, hold on. Let's
because I can't say the horse's name.
Brian, you're enabling.
Yes, I am
10-7. Let's download here.
Just like I told you about the cross country 2-day pick 6, Mark. You know, I am an enabler.
Yeah, I can't be much more excited about that. This weekend, it's two Keenelands and 1 Belmont race both days, which is just perfect.
Who are you talking about?
Number 5 in the second race at Remington.
Dude, all I know is I see Esmosh in here.
Do you not remember Myth Call or Myth Qual or?
No, I don't remember Myth Call. Is that a Pletcher horse?
I think it was at one point, and now it's a Dick Capalucci horse.
It was in Jonathan Wong's barn before that.
I don't have the PPs in front of me, but the name just jumped off the page. I'm like, holy crap! I can't believe this horse is at Remy.
Dude, fucking Esmosh is in here. Don't you remember Esmosh?
I do not.
He won a nice little stakes race at Arlington. I think he won the American
this year.
No, like 2 years ago.
Arlington. What is this? I've never heard of this place.
Yeah, he won one of the preps for Million Day and ran on Million Day. But he was a nice little like grade 3 listed stakes type turf horse. He's only 6. I might have to place a wager. Thank you.
They're off already.
Oh, they're off already. Oh no,
yeah, I wanted the 9, and I'm gonna regret that one. Okay, let's go. Sorry. You started off with talking about crappy tracks, and then hey, look, Remington's going. Let's talk Remington.
Well,
Caleb's over there rolling his eyes.
I do miss our and as I pull my stream up, I do miss our live betting stuff. I know Mr. Who's Got the Action, Mr. Capone has suggested. I mean, this man loves. I don't know. This man just loves New Jersey, apparently, even though he's from New York. But he wants us to talk a little Meadowlands turf. So I think tomorrow, Mark and I and Brian and Caleb, I don't know what you guys got going on, but of course you guys are more than welcome to jump on. But I think we might be playing some Meadowlands turf tomorrow night. So probably around like, would you say 6:30 Eastern? Or 7:30 Eastern?
7:30 Eastern, 6:30.
So 6:30 Central. So an hour earlier than we normally go on, but we might do some live playing. So I thought that would be fun to do.
Holy hell.
But I don't know, Brian's. I don't see my 11 anywhere. Oh, there's my 11. My 11, I didn't get a bet in.
Be glad you didn't get a bet in.
You sure? He looks good from here.
Because chocolate ice cream always wins.
I don't know, man. I think he might be gone.
Hey, the race is over, Josh. You want to keep?
Oh, is it over? Never mind. He's not gone. This 8 is going to catch him. Sorry. Let's not talk about a race that I didn't even get a bet in. But yeah, let's talk about races. I definitely am going to be betting this weekend, which is going to be this Keeneland Pick 5. Starts in race 6. It's a all stakes Pick 5. It's also the starts of the new $3 Keeneland Turf Pick 3. It's going to be races 6, 8, and 10 in this spot. $3 minimum, 15% takeout, Pick 3. Mark, how do you feel about this wager?
I absolutely love it. I think this is a great thing. I think we've all talked about higher mins. And I love that Keeneland, and they've done this in the past, they're trying something new. And I totally respect them for, putting something out there that people might gravitate towards.
Caleb, I know you're excited.
I'm a big fan. All the reasons Mark said, high min, low takeout, and turf racing. So you can probably assume you had pretty good sized fields. I'm excited. I think people saw the success of like the golden hour double and the golden pick 4 and whatever. And I think we might see some more, quote unquote gimmick bets like this, but I think they're player friendly and I'm excited.
Brian, what do you think?
Well, I like it. I hate the fact it's a 2-hour wager for a pick 3. I'm just putting it out there. I think the races should be closer together. I think we see that with the cross country pick 5. On days it goes 3 or 4 hours, the pool's smaller and than it is when it's like a 2.5 hour thing. I think that's why the Stronach pick 5 is so popular, because usually you're in and out in 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours. So I'll be curious to see how this thing evolves over time.
Oh, yeah, that cross country pick 5 that had to wait like 4 hours to watch the horse that Caleb talked me off of win.
Right. I mean, that's just one of those things. It's like it hypes you up, but
I sense a common theme here about Caleb. And,
he's just so damn convincing.
I know he is. I don't know why I listened to him.
I think a day, so it could have been worse.
Yeah. Road Warrior has arrived. You have not missed the Belmont portion of the conversation, so don't worry. But he has offered to send
to all of them.
Yeah, he has offered to send you a picture of Channel Maker, Cross Border, Arklow, and Rock Emperor. Caleb,
I need to buy a few more dartboards, but go ahead.
I feel like we should PowerPoint or Photoshop Caleb onto those horses in like a Titanic scene. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, do we need to play the video again?
Just Caleb.
What if I told you that the perfect man did exist, but he was cursed? I mean, he's just a complete handicapper. East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. Might be the best I've ever seen. He could be the best looking guy in all of horse racing. I mean, he gives Matt Bernier a run for his money. I mean, we all saw it. He was minding his own business, walking back from the bathroom. Hottest girl in the bar just grabs him and says, "Reel me in." Turns out you can't always be that lucky, though.
Zulu Alpha charges up the rail under Tyler Gaffleon and takes the lead late. Zulu Alpha wins the Pegasus World Cup Turf.
Oh man, that still gets me on the fade from "can't always be that lucky" into the Zulu Alpha call. That still gets me.
Oh man,
Do you guys mind? I still need a moment.
No man. Yeah, so now we just need. Now I need a Channel Maker one from last year. Well, I forgot what race it was. He had absolutely no business winning last year, but
Most
All
of
the
them.
ones that he won, you mean?
Did he win a race last year?
yeah, he won some grade 1, didn't he?
Last year, yeah.
He won a 40,000 optional claimer at Gulfstream.
That's the one.
The Pegasus World Turf, or I thought that he didn't win that one. But man, that's going to be a rough race this year. Man. Oof! They already cut the Percifer too, so we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, let's talk about this Woodford here. So you got Golden Pal installed as the 4-5 morning line favorite. Mark, I know you are a huge Golden Pal fan. You have contemplated getting a Golden Pal tattoo at some point. You actually have a set of those WW Wesley Ward blinkers that you like to put on occasionally. Because who's your other Golden Pal? Who's the other horse that you love? The other Wesley Ward horse.
There's a list of these, Wesley Ward horses that go over to Ascot, disappoint, and come back, and then never run another decent race in their career. I don't know. There's something like Kamari. One
There's
of those.
Kamari. Who's the horse that you just like absolutely loved and has just like not won any races this year? Like he's run more races this year than I think he has in his entire career. He only runs like once a year. Shit.
Oh, you're talking Bound for Nowhere.
Yeah, Bound for Nowhere. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bound for Nowhere never did the European thing. Bound for Nowhere was always domestic, so there's a different thing there. I love me some Bound for Nowhere. Although I'll probably never win a rain.
Yeah, Nick with the good call. He's saying he won this race last year. I think that might have been the race because it came up soft again in Belmont. Because
he got beat by a girl, and he got beat up by a girl in Dubai. So,
right.
Was it Saudis, Dubai? One of the two.
So Mark, after I actually thought you were a huge Golden Pal fan, but I guess after your bashing.
No, I am not a Golden Pal fan, and I really don't like Golden Pal in this spot. And I know Caleb and I were talking about this earlier. He's a 3-year-old. He has every right to improve, but everything he's run so far in his career, he's just not fast enough to win this race. I realize he has a win across the surface going this distance, but every race he's ever run, he's been first at every single call. And I don't think he gets the lead here. I think Firecrow is playing faster than him. So we don't know if Golden Pal can actually pass a horse. And he's got to improve on Figs to really be a player in here. I think you're just, at 4 to 5. I mean, if you're playing a sequence where, you have to be alive, yeah, he's probably a must include. But I won't have him in my pick 3, and I don't think I'll have him in my pick 5 either. I think, somebody to me like a Firecrow, the 4, who I think makes the lead. I can sort of toss that Turf Monster on the fact that he might have not handled the off going and seemed to be, his 2-back race makes him a pretty major player here. And the other horse I was pretty, interested in was Extravagant Kid, who is a horse that I think may have won this, almost won this race a couple years ago, but is one that I think does fit on Figs and it makes a lot of sense in here. So I'm kind of against the Golden Pal train.
Man, lots of differing opinions in chat. PDT's asking no IRAD on Golden Pal. So like, is there a reason for that? Is IRAD's not in town for Saturday, is he?
No,
he stayed in New York, I think.
Yeah, so that's probably why he's not there.
Something about Golden Pal's chances as well.
Who's he? He's got to have someone big on Saturday at Belmont to stay.
Probably a Pletcher horse or something, right?
Yeah, he's got a couple of pretty good mounts, but
yeah, Nick's saying IRAD's in New York. Yeah, and then Jimmy 2 Eyes saying Golden Pal is a stone cold single. Now I will give you, Jimmy 2 Eyes did bring up the 3 cherry system earlier, and we do have a 3 cherry horse here. Right, with the E and the 8, but I don't know. I'm not feeling that shit back. I'm kind of with you, Mark. I think Firecrow is going to be probably like a lone A type for me in the spot.
How do they have Golden Pals in E8 but Firecrow's in EP7? I don't understand that at all. Firecrow on every metric is faster earlier, isn't he? Or am I just insane?
I think Golden Pal gets the lead. He might be as fast. Firecrow might be as fast, but I think more as a function of tactics. I think Golden Pal has to go with the more inside draw and the fact he probably can't pass horses. I think the 7 and EP is just due to the fact that race 2 back, Firecrow did sit off the pace and pass 1 horse. And I think that's just kind of the way Brisnett's kind of rating it. Is that not last race, but that race 2 back, he kind of rated a little bit.
Yeah, he was more than a length off the lead.
Not saying I agree, but I think that's what's driving the designation.
Okay.
Yeah. Brian, you were like making all kinds of sounds here. So what are you thinking here?
My wife's feeding the dogs.
Oh, I thought that was you. I thought that was just you just like munching on some kibble or something back there. So
I wish I was munching on kibble right now. I can mute the microphone so you don't hear the dog food rattle around. But as long as we're here and everybody wants to talk the Golden Pal into the winner's circle, can I remind everybody that this is the fall? And Wesley Ward at Keeneland in the fall is not the Wesley Ward that we're used to in the spring. So he's going to take a ton of money because it's Wesley Ward at Keeneland in a 3-year-old race. But or with a 3-year-old, but he's not that good in the fall. So I'm just going to put that out there. I could care less about the pace duel. I think the 2 and the 4, are 1 and 2 with the first call. I think Mark's crazy for Extravagant Kid. If there's ever a horse I could toss out who seems like maybe the best times are behind, I'm going to toss out the 8-year-old horse here. Hasn't really found any good form from what it looks like. Maybe the best times behind the horse. I'm making a lot of assumptions here after 2 bad races or 1 bad race. But it's just one of those things. I'm not interested in Extravagant Kid. I think the up and comers are more interesting. So, with that being said, I think it's a 3-horse race or 4, 2, and the 7.
Yeah, my other thing is, doesn't that 2-back race at Ascot win this? I realize half a furlong shorter, and if you're maybe saying that the horse may be a little short, but has gotten, that I can understand that logic. But that Ascot race is pretty damn impressive.
It was impressive, but I have to, hold on. Let me channel my inner Caleb here. Hold on, I gotta remember. The grass at Ascot's not quite like the grass at Keeneland. The fact the horse in Ascot does not mean anything for Kentucky. I'm not sure how that works out, but that sounds like something Caleb would throw out there, and he'd sound really smart with. So I tried to get there. I can't do it.
No, he would talk about the shape of the turns at Leopardstown and how that influenced the horse running
Mark,
it.
you got me convinced, Brian. I'm with you.
No. This is let me do Mark instead. So Mark, you're telling me that you're going to take a horse that ran well going straight, now expect him to be able to do a turn and run as well.
The horse ran pretty damn well twice at Keeneland right in a row. I realized didn't win either of those races, but I would imagine the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint is a little classier than this. Somebody like a Glass Slippers is just a better horse than these are. In that second, the Woodford wasn't a bad race, and there's no Leinster in here. So yeah, I think Extravagant Kid. I don't think Extravagant Kid has lost a step. That's Brian's take. Whatever.
Hey. Well, here, since I'm giving Brian's bad takes, before you jump over to Caleb and he tells us who the winner is going to be. Well, I don't think the horse can win. I think the morning line on the 3 is ridiculous.
What is it? I don't have it up.
Inhalation is a 30-1.
Yeah, I thought that was a joke. Horses won two straight, and yeah.
Right. Words are hard. Sorry. Improved and is cutting back now. Sure, it's jumping up in class, but Josh has me convinced that class doesn't matter. But if I'm looking at exactors or trifectas, I don't know how you could leave this 3 off with the form the 3's coming in at.
I completely agree with you, and you mean stretching back out.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh,
I knew you meant.
Yeah, my note said they improved nicely after cutting back, and now he's stretching back out. So yes.
All right, Caleb, who actually wins this race? You probably actually handicapped this race.
I did, but I have no strong opinions here. And I think just from a betting perspective, you have to have an opinion about Golden Pal to play this race, I think. Either you single him or you don't think he's fast enough and you go other places. I really don't, and that's what's making this race so tough for me. I respect Golden Pal. Wesley Ward's on record saying it's possibly the best horse he's ever trained. And he's looked outstanding as a 2-year-old. He came back and crushed the field as a 3-year-old in the quick call. He's beaten a bunch of absolute nobodies. The best horse he's beaten in his career is probably like Cowan, maybe. Who's they keep putting on dirt. Jackson. The 2 best horses he's beaten in his career have been dirt horses with Cowan and Jackson Traveler. So I don't know. On time form, he's a little bit slow. On Bayer and Briz, he's a little faster. I have a hard time. I do think 4 to 5 is a short price to take on that horse. I don't know what he goes off at ultimately, but I have a hard time here. I think you guys have covered the logicals between Fire Crow and Extravagant Kid. I try to give a glance to Johnny Unleashed. I just think this horse is going the wrong way in his form cycle. So, and plus it just sort of seems like he's doomed to be a pace casualty if he tries to send. So yeah, I don't have a strong opinion here. I do think Golden Pal, demands some respect. But I haven't given much thought to my overall pick 5 structure. I have a hard time getting past the Parks race for Fire Crow. He was beaten by 99-1 that day. Maybe you draw a line through it, but he doesn't have enough turf form to make me really think that he's that good. And his only other good turf race came at Pimlico, which you could just as easily draw a line through, in my opinion. So I'm just not really sure where to go with this race. And I do think it probably gets won by a shorter price, but between the 2, the 4, and the 6, I don't really know who it is.
Caleb, it's interesting. You mentioned the Parks race. He got beat by Hollywood Talent and Beer Can Man. Any consideration to just crossing that race off? I mean, Time Form's got that thing over 150 for the early pace, and you can't expect a horse to finish with that kind of early pace. I mean, I was debating just crossing a line through there and saying, okay, let's go 2 back to Pimlico, and that's probably more likely what the pace we'd see on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a really fair point, Brian. I think you could easily make that argument for Firecrow. Last time he went too fast. I look at, when it's a race like Parks, that was the only turf sprint of the day. So I'm a little bit skeptical of some of the figs. Looking at the raw fractions, they're not that fast. I mean, 46 and 2 going 5 furlongs is, incredibly slow at pretty much anywhere else in the country. Parks is quirky. It's weird. I get it. So I just don't have enough experience to really say, he went blazing fast or he didn't. And I mean, if you totally trust Time Form, then that's a valid take. I probably would need to see another race before I could go there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I would also kind of say with Firecrow, that turf was playing much softer than good. It was probably more rated soft, and is one other time that November of 2019 race at Churchill was a clunker as well over softer going. So it depends. I don't know how much rain they've been getting in Kentucky, but if this comes up as a faster turf course, I like Firecrow quite a bit more.
All right, let's get the chat here. I got a couple comments here. Nick thinks that he thinks Tyler gives Johnny the lead and just tries to pass him. So he's thinking, that Golden Pal is going to be the one on the front end. And Nick's also, he likes the Golden Pal over Extravagant Kid Exacta. I mean, it'll be chalky, but you'll get I don't know, 4-1, 5-1, or something like that on there. Let's see. And someone had posted. Yeah, Tyler posted IRADs on Firenze and Bubble Rock on Saturday. So he probably stayed for Firenze Fire. Nick's also he's questioning the Parks timing. How slow they went the half in that last Parks race, 46. That didn't.
Who's watching football?
That's in the back. That's me.
I didn't know if it was just me hearing it or if you could all hear it. I was like, man.
No. And then, that's the wrong one. Our good friend Evil Bob Dole said he just joined. Are those 3 cherries on Golden Peller 666 because he'll kill your ticket? I mean, he'll probably kill my ticket, but it's kind of like that thing, right? Like he probably still is the most likely winner on this race, but if he wins this race, I don't know, a third of the time, 40% of the time, I mean, he's still just like an enormous overlay at 4 to 5 underlay at 4 to 5 on the morning line. Like you're going to have to just suck it up and go elsewhere and, figure out who wins the other times and, hope for a better payout. I don't know.
What's he go off at? 4 to 5, 3 to 5?
I think he'll be right around morning line. 4 to 5, 3 to 5.
He'll be stupid short.
I wouldn't be totally surprised if he floats up a touch, 6 to 5 maybe, but he'll be short though.
Brendan Walsh will take money on the 6, that's for sure.
Agreed.
I'll be honest, I don't remember if it was you, Mark, or Brian, but I mean, Extravagant Kid's probably the only horse in this race I toss. Like, I'll let this horse beat me at a short price after running the clunker in Newmarket and shipping back.
There we go.
I sort of tend to agree. I think it's a lot for New to ship from Louisiana to Dubai to Ascot to Newmarket and then back over a track he historically has not had success at. It's just a lot. At 5 to 2, I don't know that I can go there either. It's probably the second choice.
That horse is going from the outhouse to the penthouse, huh?
He's getting those frequent flyer miles.
From Louisiana to Dubai? Like, wow.
Whoa. What are you trying to say?
Anything else on race 6 before we move on to race 7?
Half an hour on a 4 to 5 favorite. I think we're on pace.
Yeah, we are on pace. Although I do remember, shout out to Johnny Unleashed who gave us a bit of a route. I think Caleb, you and I were both on the horse in Shakertown a little bit, so he led like 3/4 of that race, and I thought he might hold on, but Yeah, let's move on to the Thoroughbred Club of America, Grade 2, 6 furlong sprinting for the fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up.
Josh, I know a horse you like here.
You know a horse I like here?
I guarantee you like the 3.
Oh, hey, what do you know? I like the 3.
The 3, it's like a 3. It's a 3 cherry horse, right?
It's like 2 cherries.
It's like 2, maybe 2.5. I'll give him 2.5 there. But yeah, Bell's the one's it's 7-5 on the morning line. And then you got a couple of 5-2s in the Stelio Talentoso and Frank's Rocket. And then you get to triple digit or double digits with Club Car, Miss Mosaic, and In the Miss of Biz. I mean, I think Estelio Talentoso is probably the best of the short price horses, and I'll take my chance with the speed in this race with Cipriano Contreras shipping in here with. I know Brian, you're a big Cipriano fan coming in from Indiana, but yeah, I mean it's going to be controlling speed at 6 furlongs. I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time. I have a hard time looking past it. I mean. Maybe Frank's Rocket goes too, but I don't know. I'll take my chance with the 3. But I think, if anything, if any of the short prices are going to win, I think Estelio and Talentoso is going to get first run and just kind of overtake them in the stretch here. But what do you think, Caleb?
So I agree with you about it In the Midst of Biz. I like this horse. She came into this race last year actually off of an almost identical pattern. Ran an allowance or optional claiming race at Indiana Grand, ran in the listed stakes race. I don't know what that is, the satin and lace or something at Presque Isle, and then went into the this race here. I mean, last year she did have some better results in some of those races, but I think she just went too quick last out in the Presque Isle race, and she didn't have quite as many tune-ups this year as last year. So I think that she maybe just isn't quite as fit, but I do think that she makes a lot of sense here. Freaky stat of the day is last 3 years, Sippy Contreras is 28% going all weather to dirt. I don't know if that's just totally coincidental or if that is maybe an angle he targets when trying to prep horses, is giving them a start on the synthetic surface, but that's a pretty crazy number, especially given the ROI there. So I'm with you on In the Midst of Biz. I don't like Estelio Talentoso at all, to be honest with you. I just don't think she wins much. I mean, 3 wins from 16 starts, but 12 second and third places. She's probably the horse that hits the board here, but I don't think at 5-2 she interests me too much on the win side. I also think she's probably better going a little bit longer. 6 furlongs might be a touch on the sharp side, especially given the kind of lack of pacing here. You probably need to talk about Bell's the One, or I think you have to address her in terms of the context of this race. I think I've been against her in basically every start of her career as what I consider a more one-run closer that hasn't historically had much pace to run at. And you can make that same argument today. She is a kind of a one-run closer, and once again, she doesn't have much pace, but she's just ultra consistent. Last time she just missed. Sconson's a nice sprinter in her own right, so no shame there. She was 4 lengths clear of the show horse. Likes the distance, likes Keeneland. I mean, I always thought she was better at 7, but yeah, Nick brings up a good point in the chat that she's actually 5 of 6 going 6 furlongs. So maybe she is a little better going a touch shorter. I like Bell's the One. It's hard to use 2 horses when you're going to use a 7-5, but when the other one's 10-1, even if you don't get that price, I think those are the 2 I'd be the most interested in.
Brian.
Hi. I like horse run fast, do good. So I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I agree with Josh a little bit. I like the 4. I'm not trying to say it. The thing I think is interesting is I looked at 2 different PPs, 2 different platforms, and they both have the pace picture differently. So Timeform has the pace picture at the 3 being out front or early, and somebody else has it with the 4 and the 6 being up there. So I think that's a little silly. Obviously, that's not their style. So, I want to tell you, I want to bet the 2 Club Car. I love the 2. I've always liked the 2, but I can't. I would love to play the Mountaineer shipper here just to throw that in somebody's face. You know, I think it'd be great to say, hey, the Mountaineer shipper just won at Keeneland. But, you know, I think the water's a little too deep for Club Car here in this spot. You know, the horse could probably win it at the Keeneland meet, but this is a tough spot to be. My note I had on the 3, the In the Midst of Biz, was it's the only horse to have won with a quicker pace, 3 back at Keeneland. And so I think it's a little interesting that the horse might be able to write her own destiny, might be able to just get out there and go. And, you know, you look at these other horses on time form, everybody's won or been close, you know, in the money on blue fractions. So maybe the plan with the 3 and Contreras tells Esquivel just to get on and go and don't look back. And I think the 3 could probably steal it. I think 10-1's a joke. I think the horse is probably 5-1 at best, but it's one of those things. I want to say Bell's the one. You know, my notes here from earlier, I put Bell's the one. Even with Corey, I think I can single. and you guys know my history with Corey.
Yeah, you gave him a high 5 at Indiana Grand. We saw.
I gave him a high 5 at Indiana Grand after talking crap about his mount, and then he won. So if I talk crap about Bell's the one, I have bad news, guys. Bell's the one's going to win. It's just the pace picture here is interesting. I don't think it favors Bell's the one. I think the 3 could get up and go. So that the 3 is probably my top pick. But if I'm playing here, you know, I'm probably looking at the 4 and the 6 and the 3, not equally. I'd have to be weighted a little bit. And you know, the nice thing is with this being the first race of the late pick 5, you'd be able to see, get a better picture of how the tote's going to go and weight it accordingly.
Pick 5 starts in the race 6.
I thought
It's all 6. It's an all 6 pick 5. Yeah. Real quick, hold on. I'm gonna have to turn you guys off real quick. Look, Chantel. Look, if you saw that, please know that I'm sure Corey is a great guy. I'm sure he's super nice. It's just, you know, it's hard to take him at 7-5. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. If he was like 2-1, 3-1, we'd be fine. It's just 7-5. You know, it's just, you know. Anyways, I feel I had to get that waiver out there just in case. You know, I didn't want us to get any angry emails or anything. Mark.
100% agree with Caleb for the exact literal reasons that Caleb said. I think in the midst of biz, got this exact same setup last year coming into this race. And I would expect a big performance. And, you know, I think, you know, Bell's the one makes a ton of sense here. And those are really the only 2 horses I want. Keep it nice and simple.
So, Caleb, I know we haven't talked anything specifically for StableDuel here, but I would guess that this is probably like a must play at $1,000 in the midst of biz here in the spot.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you almost have to play this horse at, you know, 10-1, $1,000. I think has a legitimate chance to win the race. And a very, very, very high chance to run 3rd or better. You don't often get that in, you know, 10-1s, much less get that at 10-1s in a 6-horse field. So, yeah, a big fan of the 3 here in StableDuel.
All right. Let's move on. So this is probably, I don't know. Do you think this is the race of the weekend here, the First Lady, Mark?
If not the race of the weekend, it's one of probably the top 2. Yeah, it very well could be. This field is absolutely stacked, and I think the only thing is, I think Caleb and I probably have a very similar approach here. And on paper, it's the race of the weekend. I just don't know. I don't know if it ends up shaping up that way in the race.
You think Alfica just like towers over the?
I think
here?
Caleb used the phrase earlier, not to steal Caleb's phrasing, but Alfica will win by as many lengths as she wants to. And albeit I think there are other players in here. I sort of tend to agree with him. I think she's class of the field. She's won 2 straight coming to the States. She absolutely loves this distance. She's never missed the exact at it, and she just keeps getting better every single race. And there's no reason that she might not step forward again off that Diana performance. Obviously, she can, this is sort of her distance, run a mile and an eighth. And she's just an absolute monster. And she's going to be, isn't super pace dependent. She can kind of set that stalking trip and sit and pounce. And if I think you get anywhere near 7-2, she's a screaming win bet type horse. I think there's a ton of value there. There's a lot of horses in here that I think I'm really scratching in my head at why they're here. Harvey's Little Goyle being the very obvious one, who I think they just don't know what the hell to do with her now. But that will, and she'll take money in here. So, I think Althika is your most likely horse to win in here. The other horse I thought was a little interesting was Regal Gloria, the 6. She's 5 of 9 on the win side. 7 of 9 in the exact at going a mile. It's obviously her thing. She's in very good form. She's been winning a ton as of late. And, she's from that sneaky Chip Braun barn who likes to win big races. And I think she's actually pretty talented. And if I can get somewhere near that sort of price, I think she's also a pretty big win candidate. But again, I think the morning lines here are pretty bad.
So a couple things. I actually want to touch on something that I think I missed in chat, so we're going to go back a little bit. But Regal Glory, that race that Regal Glory won, I needed Hendy Woods for quite a lot of money. So I'm still bitter about that one. But Nick brought up a good point. Well, first of all, PDT says works on bells. So he's got exclamation points on bells. So, but Nick was talking a little bit, and I'm interested to hear – I guess Mr. Structure over here, if you like Bell's the One or Golden Pal, if you go are you gonna have to kind of cold single that, because now you're getting into another race here with Althika, which is another horse that looks to be probably a sizable favorite. I know 7-2 in the morning line, but I think you get better than that, or you get worse than that on this in this spot. How are you kind of looking at these earlier races here, Mark, when trying to structure?
So there's a couple things. One, it depends what your approach is. I hate the idea of you have to. People with these sort of I have to be aggressive and single, and then they miss one of those to a really likely horse, and it pays really well when the rest of their handicapping is really good. So I think it depends on what you think of the rest of the sequence. I think there's a chance that the first 3 legs are a little chalky. I think you can get a price in the 9th or the 10th. So I think if you're looking at that race and saying, geez, I need 4 horses, then you probably skip the sequence, or you poke around and you approach different races. But if you're looking at the sequence and saying, geez, I'm playing the pick 5 and I feel like I need to go single, it's a great, I've heard thin is in, but I don't think you need to be that thin or that aggressive to be profitable in the sequence that I don't think, even if it chalks out, pays $50 for the pick 5 or something. I think worst case this chalks out and still pays 200 kind of range.
Yeah, and I think the last kind of comment here from Nick, he says, do you think they might be leaning towards BC Turf Mile instead of Philly Turf? It makes more sense to me, because why would they extend her out and then try and put her out to 1 3/8 instead of just running her in the mile?
For Althika, yeah, I think that's what they're aiming for. Yeah, I would agree. They could honestly also run her in just Turf Mile, or whatever, the mile.
The mile. That's what he's
saying. That's what he's saying. Okay, the mile instead of the. Yeah, no, I agreed. They very well may be aiming there for her. Let's see how she runs here. If she looks as good as she did in the last 2, yeah, why not take your shot? That's a race that's if you can win that race, why not?
Caleb, how do you kind of see this race?
Yeah, Mark kind of touched on it already, but I think Althika is an easy single in here. She's just way better than these. She beat her stablemate Summer Romance in each of her 2 domestic starts, and then nobody else was really close. Daddy's a Legend was another 2.5 lengths back, and La Signari, same story. Those are both grade 1s. She loves a mile and an eighth. She can do it all. I just think she's really, really talented. Charles Appleby is having an absolute banner year this year. I think he's 6 for 13 with North American shippers this year. So what is that, 40-something%? 5 grade 1s out of those 6 wins. He's just sending over some incredibly live horses. And some of those losses were Summer Romance, who was a stablemate. So are guaranteed to have at least one loser in those events. So I think she's just tons the best here. There really, truthfully, isn't anybody I would look to as like a B horse in this race. I'm not interested in Regal Glory. I think this is a horse that, I'll get ready to dodge the Rotten Tomatoes, but she's not classy enough to win this race. She can't win grade ones. It's been proven. She's a win machine, but not at this level. And I don't care what the speed figures show because she can't run those speed figures at this level. So I won't be using her at all. The only horse I might give a second glance to, truthfully, is Princess Grace, simply because she's completely unexposed, lightly raced, improved in pretty much every start. That last race came back a little bit slow, but I think that was more a function of the pace, and she kind of blew the start, but she won that as easy as you want her to. I don't think she's a likely winner, but she's the only horse I think that has a outside chance to turn the tables on Althika here.
Also, Caleb, the eviction moratorium is, it's running out. So there's some people that might need to have to start paying the rent with Kent. So
I didn't even see that was Kent. Wow. I did not even see that was Kent.
I kind of see the same way as you guys. I think, the way I play tickets, I don't play C's. So if I'm going to spread out or if I'm going to use a C type, really, I'm just going to include them as a B, and I'm just going to go narrower in another leg. So I think if I were playing true ABC, the courses I have written down here as Bs are more C types. But I think if there's a spot where I might want to use other horses, it's going to be this race. Maybe it's just because it's a bigger field. Maybe it's just because there is some real quality in this race. I mean, it's just that Althika is probably that much better. But turf races with this many horses, a horse can get into some kind of trip trouble or something like that, get stuck in a bad spot. So if that's the case, I do want to use a couple of horses as kind of backups. I mean, Althika, Lone A, I'll have some enormous press ticket just single to Althika. But you guys already, or Caleb, you already touched on Princess Grace. Really hasn't done anything wrong. I mean, has finished second once and has won every other race. So I was against her at Kentucky Downs, and I looked like an idiot in person while I watched Princess Grace run right in front of me and just blow past everybody. I'm gonna use Princess Grace here, just like you said. I'm gonna use a horse that you absolutely hate in the 9 blowout. There you go. There's a little bit of vomit in the mouth. That'll get you going.
Josh, you know better.
I do know better, but I love me some speed, and this is once again the stem on the third cherry is a little bit shorter because it's only a 7 instead of an 8, but it's still there. I don't know, man. I have a hard time just like discounting Chad Brown completely. So maybe this is just paying the Chad Brown tax in the spot. I guess didn't really have much of an excuse in the 4-star Dave. Got just like blown out of the water by Got Stormy, but the pace was a little fast. So, I think if the horse can slow it down a little bit, I think might have a better chance in the spot. And I don't know, this might just be betting with my heart instead of my head, but I also have Harvey's Little Goyle here written down as a B. Hasn't run this distance before, so kind of unsure what you're going to get in a mile with this horse, but the horse has definitely got a back class, and has ran some really nice races. So did win a grade 1 here at Keeneland. So has won at Keeneland. So go back to the well here on this horse and see if we can spike just a little bit of a price. I'm not interested in Regal Glory much in this spot, so of course I'm going to get boomed by the other Chad that I didn't use. But I think Althika is going to be a lone A here for me. Brian, what are you thinking?
I think you're all fucking dumb.
Cheers.
I said it. Althika, and here's why Althika doesn't win. Who's gonna challenge blowout on the lead? So you've got a West Coast jockey again in Pratt on blowout. Who's going to do what with that horse? Is going to go. Not going to sit back, not going to wait and see what happens. He's going to get out early, and he's going to probably walk the dog at 6-1, 5-1. And Althequa, I think, where's the pace going to come to pressure the 9? I don't see it. I try to go through there. The 6, Regal Gloria, is closed on moderate fractions. If Pratt gets the race with no challenge, I don't see who beats Blowout. I really don't. I tried to figure this out, and I went back and forth. The 10, Princess Grace, 5 for 6 on turf. Should sit in that second flight of horses behind the 9, but I don't see anybody else who's going to go with the 9.
Yeah, Michael in chat is saying he thinks that Delika's got to go, right?
That's probably their only chance, but Delika is 0 for 5 in a mile. Delika needs longer. I'm distance alone.
I think Star Command probably has to go as well. The 4. I realize it's a massive outsider in a price, but that's one of the other horses that has shown speed and has only ever won on the lead. So I think that's your most likely horse to go.
And even if they do go, I don't expect them to be there at 7/8.
Yeah,
just based on form and class alone. So with that being said, you've got to hope that Spencer keeps Althequa 2 lengths back from all of them. I think there's a lot of questions that can happen there. There's going to be tiring horses that could get in the way. I have both Hendy Woods and Princess Grace sitting in front of Althequa at the half. And so that puts 5-6 horses in front of Althequa that could cause problems. And Pratt's just too smart. He's going to have Blowout in a good spot. So that's where I went. I'm leaving Althequa off of all tickets on Saturday.
And worst case, Pratt will just claim foul so he can get moved up. Yeah, I'm still not bitter. I'm still not bitter about that. No.
It's one of those things where, somebody had mentioned, okay, if you're single, maybe you single the first 2, or you go skinny in the first 2 legs, and then here you toss Althequa, and you can afford to go 6 deep in this leg because it's going to pay if you beat Althequa.
I think you're absolutely nuts for getting aggressive behind Blowout. She's a horse that has historically stopped. She's done it. I don't know how many. She's got 7 second places here, and she's had those types of pace scenarios where she's the lone speed on paper multiple times. Chad Brown's on record saying that she waits for other horses to race, and the thing is, I think when you're going to get somebody like a Princess Grace or an Althequa coming at her, they're just classier than some of the other horses she's waited to race and played around with. And I just think there's others in here that are better. And I know, the only, I guess the one other horse I would mention in here, and I don't necessarily think she can win, but I think the price that you're going to get underneath is really good, is Hendy Woods. I know we mentioned Hendy Woods. She's 6 for 6 in the exacta at a mile on turf. Right. She's never missed the exacta, and you're getting 10-1 on the morning line. I think she goes off at that. I don't necessarily think she can win, but if you're looking to build verticals, and she's the kind of horse that I want to build around, and I want to have in the bottom of an exacta or a try at a pretty nice price.
It's one of those things you have to take a stance somewhere, and this is a good leg in my opinion to take a stance. I like Hendy Woods. On my note, I had Hendy Woods sitting in the next flight behind Blowout. And as long as Tyler doesn't Tyler the race, should be able to get first move on everybody else. So either the 5 or the 10 theoretically should get first move, even if Blowout does not finish. It should be noted a couple back, Blowout did finish in a mile with Pratt aboard. The time before that, finished second. So did get beat out. I think Blowout's still a good possibility to be in the exacta. And at that morning line price, and to go against the grain. So all 3 of you have a single A in Althequa. So that tells me probably 80% of the public will follow, because you guys are that, Mark and Caleb are that sharp. So what I'm thinking is nothing, Josh. Damn. Man. So that's my thought, is after listening to all 3 of you talk about Althequa up, okay, let's zig and go 6 deep here with Blowout and Princess Grace, Regal Glory, Hendy Woods. Okay, so I'm 4 deep. I can even throw Daddy's a Legend in there because I can afford to, because of how much value or perceived value I'll have if I'm right with Althequa missing the board or not winning.
Go ahead, Caleb. Sorry.
I totally get where you're coming from. Me personally, I would take Althequa over Bell's the One and over Golden Pal. I think she's that much the best here. I would almost zigzag your zig and fade one of those two previous favorites and single a horse in a race that I think people are going to spread here. I think Althika is going to be on a lot of tickets, but I think people are also going to spread just given the field size and quite a few unknowns. But I totally get what you're saying, and I agree about Blowout. She's not the worst bet in this field, especially in exotics.
I thought Caleb was gonna all your base art belong to us, Brian, moving every zig over there.
It's just there's 13 horses in this race. In the Bells race, there's 7 horses. So, for chaos factor alone, Althika has got more to overcome to begin with.
Hey, Caleb, question probably more for you because you're the StableDuel expert here.
Here we go, Josh.
Really?
Oh, never mind. We thought you were.
Really?
No,
I
you
know
know
I
what?
wasn't gonna be.
He didn't start. So Caleb. So it's okay.
I thought he was going to ask what to say to a girl when she's cute. I didn't know what he was going with there.
All right, Mark.
So somebody like a Hendy Woods, a horse that likes to hit the board. How do you manage that kind of a horse in StableDuel? Is Hendy Woods the kind of a horse that you play in this type of a race because it's a $1,000 horse that has a huge amount of upside in a StableDuel type contest?
Yeah, I think horses in this race that are the Hendy Woods of this race, truthfully, Blowout at 8-1, so $3,000. Another really attractive play here.
Oh, keep going.
I even think a horse maybe like Daddy is a legend, could be usable. There's a lot of horses here that I think are cheap that have extremely good chances to hit the board. But at the same time, I think that 7-2 on Althika is an incredible price. So it's one of those things that's like, what do you want to do here? I mean, truthfully, I haven't handicapped the entire card yet, so I can't say for sure. More than likely, I will play 2 horses in this race. I'll probably take Althika at 7-2, and then a horse like Hendy Woods or maybe Daddy's a Legend at a longer price and try to scoop 100 points out of the race.
So I agree with you completely, Caleb. I think 7-2. I think you pay up. Right, I think that horse is going to be underpriced for the value you're going to get in StableDuel. We didn't talk about the 13 Viadero. Any interest in this other Chad, Mark?
In the other Chad, that seems to just. I mean, she does like to win. And again, 506 at the distance. I just think she's not as good as the other 2 Chads, but I wouldn't talk anybody off from her. If you want to use the Jedmont Chad that loves to win, yeah, she makes some sense. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't do a whole lot for me, but it's a bad post. That's kind of tough.
Yeah.
I don't like Drew getting up. I think it's a pretty big downgrade from Rosario. She could win, but there's just a lot of other horses I like that are at better prices that I would go to first.
I did want to point something out because I just thought it was a little funny with Althika. Just another reason maybe that you want to use Althika in the spot. Althika is gone from Mike Smith to Mandy Franco, and now gets Jamie Spencer. And notice that Althika has improved going from Mike Smith to Manny Franco. So going from Manny Franco to Jamie Spencer, I mean, you assume another move up, huh?
I mean, Mike Smith to Manny Franco is a massive upgrade. And yeah, then go to Jamie Franco. Yeah, I the logic is perfect, Josh. I think you got something there.
Yeah, Road Warrior saying he gets StableDuel, but good luck getting better than 2-1 on the Applebee in real life. Yeah, he's probably right.
I agree. Yeah, 2-1 range, 2-1, 5-2, something like that.
All right, the breeder. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
All that to miss the board. That's gonna suck for you guys.
Oh, I still feel so bad about KP. I told you. Did I tell you that story? I know I told Caleb the story. Did I tell you the story, Brian?
No.
So we go. We were getting ready to go to Kentucky Downs, and shout out to Keep Pounding. He had like this, like he went to like, I was going to say Kinko's, but it's not called Kinko's anymore. It was like just a UPS store, FedEx or whatever. And like got like all the PPs for the day professionally printed, right? Spiral and like bound So like it was like a nice. So he had time form, he had DRF, he had optics, all of it nice and bound. He had sticky notes everywhere, and I was just like, man, it'd be kind of funny if you just like don't cash a single bet after doing all that work. And yeah, I think the only bet he cashed was a refund he got after a couple horses scratched trifecta. Man. So shout out Keep Pounding. Sorry for bringing that curse upon you. But yeah, the Breeders' Free Charity here. Mile on the 16th for 2-year-olds. And man, 2-year-old stakes races. Even these fall stakes races are fucking tough because I mean, you have so many of these horses jumping up from maiden wins and horses that took a couple times to break their maiden. You know, did they just get a soft field? Like, were they just the pace and none of the horses wanted to pass? Like, you never know. Yeah, I kind of had a hard time with this race. I had landed on 2 horses, the 1 Double Thunder, and the 3 Stellar Tap. I'm going back to the Stellar Tap. Even after he did me so wrong on that cross country pick 5, and yeah, I mean I think that he's gonna be forwardly placed, and these Steve Asmussen horses tend to get a little bit better with time. Tap it. So obviously routings I don't think is going to be an issue. So I'm interested to see what Stellar Tap's going to happen again. I think 9-2 is a fair enough price. We'll see what we get in real time. But I'm a fan of Stellar Tap here. I'm also a fan of Double Thunder, the 1. You got Paco Lopez riding for Todd Pletcher. And the thing I'm most interested in about Double Thunder is just if you look at those running lines, one of the few horses in the race that's passed other horses, has come from way out of it, has pressed the pace and, been only, a length and a half off. And I just think that, a versatile run style like that, I think is always really useful in these 2-year-old stakes races. I got a couple question marks. I was a little interested in the 6 Rattle and Roll for Kenny McPeak. You are getting that class test going from a maiden special weight, but I mean, it was a pretty big maiden special weight race recently, 120K race. So, and same thing. The horse has got a nice little run style. It's got a little baby Z pattern there for Caleb. And I mean, it could just be. It does say that the horse broke out and got bumped, but it could just be the horse just let other horses kind of just go and eventually made a move, but closed in on the slow pace. So I'm I'm interested in Rattle and Roll, just kind of looking at that from kind of like a race flow perspective, and that's basically all I had in this spot. Caleb, I know you love your 2-year-old stakes races. It's your favorite type of race to bet. What are you thinking here?
I wish they had an entire card that was turf marathon races and 2-year-old stakes. That would really just make my day. Yeah, I have no strong opinions here. I will say I do not like Double Thunder in this race. I just think he's kind of exposed. He's had 4 starts now. It feels like he's really taken advantage of some really soft spots. He breaks his maiden at Monmouth, and then he wins the Bashford Manor, which was not a very strong field. He gets medium level horses, not even like the top 2-year-olds, but a horse like High Oak and Gunite, and gets kind of trounced in the Saratoga Special. And then he goes and beats up on some Monmouth horses again. I don't really think, as the favorite, some foreshadowing, I will be taking a stand against a horse like Double Thunder here. The horses I did land on, Josh, you touched on one of them actually, and I'm kind of surprised, was the 6 Rattle and Roll. So he is too slow to win based on what he's shown so far. But I thought visually he ran an outstanding race last time. He did run a bit of a Z pattern where he was kind of stuck in just this giant swarm mass of horse with all the horses were bunched up. It was a very slow pace. He kind of got shuffled to the rear. But as soon as that horse, jumped down to the inside and found a place to go, it was over. I mean, this looks like a horse that wants to run all day. He has a win going 2 turns, which is more than most of these horses can say. He has passed other horses, and there should be plenty of speed in here. So I do really like Rattle and Roll. I think he can take a step forward out of that. He has great route pedigree here. So I like the 6. And the other horse I like is actually the 13. You're not going to get 5-1 on this horse. I wouldn't even be surprised if this horse fights for favoritism with the 1. I think they both probably go off in the 3-1 to 7-2 range, probably. I think Classic Causeway, I mean, that's just a silly line at 5-1. He ran an absolute hole in the wind in his debut. There are some questions for sure. The closing weekend at Saratoga was very, very speed friendly. Potentially that moved up his figure a little bit, but he won by 6.5 lengths. The second place horse came back to win with a similar speed figure as he recorded in this race. So there's a lot of reasons to think that he might just be this good. He does have a shitty draw, and there is other pace to contend with. There are some question marks about stretching out, although based on his pedigree, he should have no trouble. But yeah, I think the 13 is a huge player here. There's a ton of chance to improve, as well as the 6, Rattle and Roll. And a horse that I just think I kind of know who he is. I know how good he is. Double Thunder doesn't do much for me. But Josh, please use him on the cross country pick 5.
All right, Mark, what are you thinking here?
I agree on Classic Causeway, and I don't really agree on most of the rest of your horses. I think Classic Causeway will probably be, you might not be favorite just because of post, but will be probably your second choice. The morning line is just kind of stupid, but there are a lot of those on this card. The other 2 horses I was really sort of super interested in would be, for one, the 5, Don't Wait Up. Tiki Dutro horse who, I realized won in the slop at Saratoga, but doesn't really have a ton of off-track pedigree. So I'm thinking this is the improving type. Dutro has been running at 30% this year, and Johnny V decided to stick on this one, and seems to be a horse that has, again, the pedigree to get this kind of distance. I realize it's a stretch out type horse, but if judging by that last race is probably the speed of your speed of the speed in this race, if that slop speed does translate to that 21-3 at Saratoga does translate to this longer distance. So forwardly placed horse, and a lot of time being forwardly placed in these 2-year-old races is all you need to do to win. And the other horse that I was really kind of interested in was the 9, Great Escape, Ralph Brissett horse. And, Gaff got up on this one. Really impressive second time out at one of those big money Churchill 7 furlong races. Again, pedigree should be able to get this sort of distance. And, Brissett has also happens to, since 2017, have a 23% strike rate with a $4.64 ROI, going sprint to route with horses. So, I thought Great Escape, I think, again, it's probably a bad morning line, but this is another horse that I thought made a lot of sense in this spot.
So, Brian, I think you're going to like this comment here, because I know to me and you, this is funny, but Nick says he likes the 8 King Curlin, has good breeding, coming from turf race at Kentucky Downs. No name jockey and trainer. They must really like this horse to show up here.
I mean, Brittany Vandenberg was the winning trainer for the Hawthorne meet, and Chris Amig.
Yeah.
Come on, Nick. You need to watch more Midwest Hawthorne Arlington races.
Yeah, Brittany is
winning. One of those things. Only one of those things he'll ever be able to do again.
Well, you can watch replays. I got VHS tapes already.
Yeah, I watched the Pizza Man. I watched the Pizza Man race probably about once a month. So
you got that shit huh?
Yeah.
Tomorrow Hawthorne opens up, by the way, Nick. So 3:00 Central Time. Brittany Vandenberg probably has 3 runners in a 9-horse race. There's 45 horses in the late pick 4, better than Arlington's entire meet.
Yeah, it's actually kind of nuts. Who's the DRF guy? Marcus Hirsch was talking that outside of Keeneland, that he thinks that it might be the Hawthorne late pick 4 or pick 5, because it's got like 12 horses every race. It's crazy.
Hey, do me a favor though. Give Jimmy some love here, because Jimmy's on the winner, and none of you guys even.
Yeah, he said Dale Special, and yes. I had to I don't know who
the tails are.
Max time.
Yeah, I kind of like that horse.
10. That was my horse. I was just waiting for my turn to talk. 20-1 in the morning line is ridiculous. I'm not quite sure. Stepping up in competition based on who he's gone against so far, but Talamo's actually been riding pretty well lately. I think the question is, as far as the stretching out here. I shouldn't be an issue, but it's one of those things where there's probably better horses with a pedigree for this distance. Max Time, Joe Talmo may be the benefactor of sitting in a good spot. Could be a little too slow early, but I don't want to jinx myself here, but I foresee a middle move coming with the Dale Romans horse.
Dale Tar middle move, huh?
I think that's the only way that horse can win, but I do think at 20-1 it's ridiculous. I really did like the 10. So thank you, Jimmy, for calling that out. At least somebody else is on there with me. We'll ride or die with the 10 together.
Well, it's definitely not Dennis's moment, but it might be Max Time.
No. I'm just gonna keep talking just in case.
I feel like
wait, he says the other Dale. He doesn't like Max Time. He says the other Dale.
Well, that's Nick, not Jimmy. I see you went to Mark's reading comprehension school.
I was like, oh goodness. I was like, wait, there's another Dale on the spot.
Mr. Boma.
Mr. Boma.
Mr. Boma,
with Brian's favorite jockey.
Yeah, okay. Chantel, go ahead and tune out for a minute.
Earmuffs.
Oh no.
Yeah. Listen, so I'm just gonna focus on the horses. I do like. I think Rattle and Roll's too slow. Caleb touched on the 6. I looked at that horse, but holy crap, was that last race at Churchill slow? And I'm afraid this horse might be 20 lengths back at the half mile. I expect Don't Wait Up and Classic Causeway to run a pretty fair and honest pace. And so with that being said, I'm not sure if Brian Hernandez can keep this horse close enough. It's just one of those things. It's like, man, I would need double digits there to take a shot with Rattle and Roll. So Mark might appreciate this based on some of the happenings in New York with this a certain jockey, but on the 3, my notes are the distance should not be an issue with the pedigree, should be close by, should let the 5 and 13 set the pace, but then I have a ... King Santana give a smart ride. And see, the Sinlar jockey is going to block me because I like Ricardo. I love the way he rides at Oaklawn, but on horses that need touch, I get scared. And Stellar Tap is the type of horse I think is going to need some touch in the spot to win. Soft hands, can't just get on it and go. So I don't know what to expect. So I'm kind of scared there. I think Stellar Tap's going to be pretty short. I did like the horse, and I kind of wish it was a different jockey. And I shouldn't care about the jockey that much, but it's just one of those things,
we have been accused of talking about connections too much.
I know. And, it's one of those things. I was always told that a 119-pound jockey is not going to tell a 1,000-pound horse what to do. And when I was taught how to read the form, it was the jockey up there is going to go where the horse wants to go. But the question is timing and not finding trouble and knowing when to go. So yeah. No, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to say I wanted to reply to some stuff that's been talked about on the comments. If you're you done, Brian?
No, it's just it's one of those things where I think the 5 will be a tiring leader, and Santana should be the benefactor of that. Whether or not he's in trouble, I don't know. The other question mark I had real quick was, I keep mentioning the 5. I hate Johnny V in this spot because it's the first real test for the 5, in my opinion. Maiden last out at Saratoga, and it's like, I don't think that horse wants this distance. So I don't know what they're going to do as far as how they approach this. Do they try and just get up and go and hope for the best? I really don't know. So with that being said, I'm probably looking at something about the 3 and the 10, and then I'll have something going through the 13 as well. You guys already talked about. I'll say Classic Causeway. I keep wanting to say Giants Causeway, but I'll have some money going through the 13. But that's pretty much where I'm going to end on. With the 10 being a top pick, and I think the 10 will take some money, and we'll be talking about they knew kind of horse.
Hey, Brian, I do, before Mark gets into the comments, there is a comment I want to highlight, and I feel like you might be the person to talk about this. Jay Davis, who, if you guys haven't, no, he did the last podcast with me last week. So, or no, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. But yeah, Jay's was a big winner at Kentucky Downs when we went down there. So take a listen to the podcast with Jay Davis. But he says, okay, wait a minute. He used Manscaped, and he's not nearly as handsome as anyone on here. What gives? Brian, can you give him a little tip here?
Jay, it's one of those things. I'm not handsome either. However, when I take my pants off, I am a beautiful man. And I owe that to Manscaped. Before Manscaped, I was a fat guy. I had racing stripes of hair because I couldn't see down there being a fat man. Some may call me a full-figured man, and I'm okay with that. I shop in the plus section. I can't reach around down there, and it's okay. But by using Manscaped, I don't have to reach. I can close my eyes, turn that thing on, and let the buzz go to town. And as a result, I'm a good-looking man down there.
Oh, man.
What'd I say? I didn't lie.
I blame Jay for all this, but Jay, thank you for checking out. All right, so Mark, the actual comments in chat you wanted to talk about. What do you got?
Somebody had talked about the Amos horse, the 12, Kevin's Folly. I thought this horse was interesting on my first pass, but the thing is, I think both. Kevin's Folly didn't have a lot of excuses coming out of that hopeful, and both Gunite and Wit have been really exposed at this point, right? Like they got, so I sort of think he's not as good as either of those two, and I think there are other horses that may be better than either Gunite or Wit at this point in his career. I guess your argument there with Kevin's Folly is he's going to take money because of the Amos thing, and he's also going to, maybe he stretches out. Yes, we have to sort of hope, but I had a hard time getting to Kevin's Folly. I thought it was a horse that just I wanted to like, but I had to make way too many excuses for. The other horse I was going to mention is I know somebody had mentioned King Curl in the 8. I did kind of find that horse a little interesting. I don't know if we talked about it a ton on stream last year, but horses that did well at Kentucky Downs were coming out of that Kentucky Downs meet and just winning everything that wasn't tied down later on in the season. And a lot of us were betting back Kentucky Down horses that ran well at places like, Santa Anita or your play with Belmont or wherever they ended up traveling to, and they were running really well. So King Curlin running well at Kentucky Downs, that really says something. I think this is a pretty classy horse. You're getting that price because of connections, which are not as, known connections in the, whatever East or West Coast. But I think Son of Curlin should handle this. Arch on the bottom end. There's no reason to believe that this one might not take to dirt and might not really, really like the going here. I think at 30-1, this is an interesting horse. Not one I would have on top. Not one that I'm going to use prominently, but it will be on, a lot of my tickets.
See, and that race that you're talking about at Kentucky Downs, that was, nobody's come back from that race looking good. I mean, the Saffie Joseph horse came back next out and looked okay in a 4th place finish, but the figures from that race are slow. That the winner of that race, Grail, came back and flopped. So I do like the Chicago connections of Brittany and Chris, but I'd be hard pressed to make that argument that this horse can win on Saturday.
Mr. and Mrs. Amy, or is it Mr. and Mrs. Vandenberg?
I'm not quite sure. I was wondering about that.
They what's funny is they actually got married, like I think before they got married, like on a Saturday morning or something, and like ended up like racing at Arlington that day. So it's pretty funny. Vandenberg wins at like 30% in Illinois, so it's like some like insane amount. So, I'm interested. Like they don't really. I mean, she ships to Oak Lawn now, but for the most part, she's not really shipping stuff. She doesn't ship. I mean, like Ravelli doesn't really ship that much, and she ships even less than he does. And she's probably the number 2 trainer in Illinois. So
can I give the viewers a Hawthorne tip since it starts tomorrow?
Yeah.
When you see Brittany before the race, look at her shoes. If they're nice shoes, she's got good horses. If she's wearing backside boots, nope.
So it's like Chad with the burgundy suits.
With the suits, yeah. That's what I was
The
thinking.
burgundy suit, yeah.
It really is. And, there's some people I think would back me up on this one. When Brittany's out there in backside boots, you're like, oh, crap. You're really hoping you're not single to any of her runners.
Let's get here to the last race in this pick 5 before we head over to Belmont and talk about a couple of races or at least one race that I know is near and dear to Caleb. Sorry. The Keeneland Turf Mile. We got a full field here of. Well, it probably help if I just click down here. Got a full field of 13. Do they run 13? Oh yeah, they do. So, Caleb, are you already making sounds? So you must not like this race.
I actually do like this race. This is a really good race. It's a fun race. There's a lot of interesting ways you can go, and I think there's a reasonable chance we can get a price horse in this race. I landed on 2, one of whom, which is a horse that I've talked about not that long ago, actually, on a previous stream. Going back to the well, I really like Space Traveler in the 4. This horse ran a huge race in the Mr. D, kind of got ignored in the Woodbine Mile, but came back and ran a big race. That was a race that, if you didn't watch it, was absolutely dominated on the front end. Town Cruise went gate to wire in moderate fractions with 0 pace pressure.
Shout out to all of us who were on that horse.
Yes, all of us. Space Traveler was by far the best of the rest, making up the ground he did and getting up for second. He did the same thing in the Mr. D, where once again he had a slow pace and he had some trouble early. He was going too far. He's a miler. I think he's a really impressive horse that has not had a chance to show his best stuff. So I'll be all over Space Traveler in this race. I think he's extremely talented, and this is a good spot for him. The only other horse that I was kind of interested in is, unfortunately, the favorite here, Order of Australia, the 10. This is a horse that won the Breeders' Cup Mile, as everybody remembers, last year at like $1 billion to 1. But honestly, he's been a different horse since they cut him back to a mile. And he took a little bit of while to get going. I mean, he didn't run very well at Châtain, and then he probably needed that race at the Queen Anne. But ever since then, he's been running well. I mean, his race at the Corral was quite strong. And no shame whatsoever in losing to a horse like Alcohol Free, Poetic Flare, and Palace Pier, and Baid. Those are probably, I don't know about Alcohol Free, but the other 3 are probably your top 3 milers in Europe. That's an incredibly deep division this year. It's incredibly strong. So there's no shame in getting beat by some of those horses. I think he's a deserving favorite. I would have liked to see Ryan Moore travel, or maybe to see a European jock, since there are some of them here, take the mount. But Velasquez, I guess, is fine. I guess. I like all Order of Australia. I think, what is he, like 7-2? I mean, that's a fair price. If he starts flirting with 5-2 or 2-1, that's too short. But I think at 7-2, he's a good price here. But Space Traveler would probably be my top pick, honestly. After you get to those 2, there's probably about 5 horses I like nearly equally, but they would be a little more distant, maybe like C's compared to the 2 that I just mentioned.
So I do see chat is blowing up, talking about a horse, the number 11.
Yes.
Now the number 11, I believe they have the name wrong. I believe the name of this horse is actually Oops, All Snake Venom. No, is that bad? Patrick Biancone? No. Okay, no one liked that one. Anyways, Diamond Oops at 15-1. Brian, you sound like you're a fan. Both Nick and Jimmy here are big fans. Nick saying Diamond Oops, second off the layoff, coming off Kentucky down, 6 furlong turf race, gaining at the end. Should get a nice trip here. And don't forget, he finished second back in this race in 2019. And Jimmy Two Eyes, he said Diamond Oops is sitting on a big one. We'll also have money running through Space Traveler. So he also agrees with you, Caleb, on Space Traveler. Actually, I think that Jimmy posted a ticket. I think it might have been for the turf triple, the turf pick 3 here, Golden Pal, Blowout, and Diamond Oops. At least one of those horses will definitely win a race in that section, and it's Blowout. Okay.
I agree completely.
But yeah, Brian, it sounds like you're all about diamond dupes. Let's talk about it.
So what do I like about diamond oops? Well, since people like to call me out for bashing connections, let's just start off with Florent. He's not riding well right now, but this horse is working out wonderfully. And it's one of those things where I'm curious to see what happens with scratches. I'd expect at least 2 or 3 horses to scratch out here. If Diamond Oops gets in like the 8 or 9 spot, I think mathematically, or if you look at pace, the 13 is going to be going. So the 11's really got nobody around him. That should be a problem, with Order of Australia probably being a little, I don't want to say slow to start, but it's not going to be going up front. So there's no excuse for Florent to find trouble here, especially with how the horse has been running. 15-1. I don't know how I really don't understand the morning line there. I don't. And Order of Australia is a logical favorite. Makes a lot of sense. But from, even Ivar on the 6, I don't understand. 5-1 might be a little sharp there, just because the horse seems to be going the wrong way right now. But, I usually don't bash the morning line makers, but I've got a lot of questions in this race, just from the 11 alone. Even Caleb's 4 Space Traveler, 6-1 is probably a fair price. But when you look at who's in this race, there's probably 5 horses you can toss out. Who are you going to toss out? Front Run the Fed, Monarch's Glen, maybe Argentello, Brown Storm. You could toss them out. So you're really looking at how the race is going to play out from a pace standpoint. So if some like it hot, Brown gets the lead, which, am I wrong? The 13 gets the lead, right?
I think so.
They have to. And Post has to make that even worse. They just have to send. They have no other option.
They have to send. And with that being said, you're going to use a lot of energy up front. So I think that it actually makes it better for Diamond Oops, Ivar, maybe even Pixelate. Pixelate for Michael Stidham, might, it's an on again, off again kind of horse pattern lately. I'm not sure how I feel about going from Rosario to Tyler right here, but man, this is a great race. From a fan standpoint, it's great. If you're in the pick 5, it's a horrible race because you probably want to be covered to 6-7 horses here. Even listening to Caleb, who's the smart and pretty one, I can't sit here and say I could single the 4 or the 13. I'm probably looking at a little bit of the 6, the 10, the 7, the 11, the 4, the 13. Hell, I can make an argument for Field Pass, and that's a problem. Because
that definitely is a problem. Yeah.
If you go 2 back at Pimlico, you're like, oh wow, Field Pass looked pretty good. Last out, hey look, Ricardo's on turf. Toss that one. So it's an interesting race. I think it's going to be this is the race that I really want to watch and see what happens with scratches, because if any of the ones I just mentioned, the 6, 10, 7, 11, 13 scratch out, I think it changes the pace picture immensely, and you're going to have to adjust your strategy accordingly.
Yeah, Nick is like, Golden Pal, Bells, Altica, all for
and you're gonna be dead like one.
Well, Altica is not going to win, Nick. Have you not been listening, my man?
So, when I think of Order Australia, right, I think of just how authentic the racing at overseas is, and just how, when I look at this morning line, I think how authentic the morning line is. Mark, how authentic.
We're not going here, Josh. Yes, I did have Order of Australia, and no, I did not have authentic on a ticket. It happens. Things like that happen. No, I mean, I think everybody else covered the logical players in here. My one question with Order of Australia is, and I think this horse probably takes some money. Best performance in the States was on Lasix, and we are not getting Lasix today. So I sort of wonder, is Order of Australia run that same race? Because that was sort of a very much out of left field type of race and a career best. So did the Lasix there help a little bit? I don't know. Space Traveler makes a lot of sense here, and I agreed. Ivar, Pixelate, those are the kind of horses I want most of my money going through. I don't have anything creative to say that anybody else hasn't really said here. Wide open race. It's what I'm going to be so much spread in. I will counter a point that Brian had. I think this is a great race to have in a pick five because these types of races make pick fives pay. If you have an opinion where everybody else is spreading, that's how you get value. And I think these types of races are awesome in that regard.
So Brian's talking about zigging and zagging all the time, and he's like,
right.
"Oh, wait, there's too many horses. I can't zig or zag."
Yeah, right. This is the race that you single when everybody else is spreading.
It's not that there's too many horses. So, Mark, you said this is a great leg to have in a pick five. So, who's your A right here? Oh, better yet, Mark, who's your B?
I don't have a B. I have 4 A's.
And they are?
I have Space Traveler, Ivar, Pixelate, and Order of Australia.
You're going to leave some like a hot brown off as an A, huh?
Yeah, I think this is too short for something like a Hot Brown. I think that horse really wants to go a little further. I think he will be your pace setter, but I think when you take a horse that wants to go a little farther with that tactical speed and you make them have to turn into a mile, turf miles are their own thing. There are horses that are great at turf miles. There are horses that can go a little further or a little shorter, but turf mile is a specialty distance, and I just don't think something like a Hot Brown is a turf miler.
I have something like a Hot Brown as an A. So
he's an E.
And also the Maker Barn is what, about 3% the last 2 months.
Yeah.
So,
I mean that's a good point. I just think that like what Brian had said, I think some like a Hot Brown once again is gonna. I mean, he's gonna have it. He's gonna have it his way. I know he's stuck out in the 13 post, so I think kind of like Brian said, I think if he gets maybe a scratch or two and can like, get to like the 11 or 10 post somehow, I know that's like 3 scratches, but I think that would make things a little bit easier for him. But sorry, Brian, I know I cut you off like 9 million times. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to back you up there. I mean, anybody from the 1, 2, or 3 could scratch out here. And if Space Traveler draws the rail, I think that changes the whole dynamic of the race. I was just backing you up. I mean, we got to stick together against those two.
Yeah, I agree with you with Caleb on Space Traveler. I really like Space Traveler here. I had him marked down as a B to start, but this is probably one that I could move up to an A type. It just depends on what I have in the rest of the legs. I kind of first pass when we do these streams, I kind of just go through them quick and I kind of assign them how I want, and then after scratches and I figure out what my budget for the day is, how I kind of do, I restructure, I move horses up, move horses down, things like that. But Space Traveler is definitely kind of that is towing the line between A or B, depending on where I'm at. I like Ivar in the spot. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Can I ask a dumb question, Josh, about Space Traveler? Why?
Mm-hmm.
What in that running line tells you that your B is not high enough? Why would you say, okay, I want to make that horse an A all of a sudden, looking at that running line, and you have a win in a handicap, but other than that, what are you seeing?
I mean, he ran against the bias last time out at Woodbine, and he outkicked Raging Bull, who is probably, I mean, he's probably one of the top 5 or 6 American turf milers we have right now. I mean, he's like in that. If there's a grade 1 turf mile, there's like a 90% chance that Raging Bull's in it. I know he's not in this race, but I don't think he likes Keeneland, right?
No. He doesn't like winning, I think.
He also doesn't like winning, yeah. But he always just runs that same race. He's got that turn of foot, and he always looks like he's going to get there, and he never does. And then sometimes he does. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that Woodbine Mile was really good. I mean, the Mr. D was just like a really weird race because 2 Emmys just got out there, and so like I don't know if you really learned anything from that. The Fig came back decent, but yeah, same thing. He kind of had to close into a slow pace there, but I think he he kind of ran against that bias last time at Woodbine, and I thought that was a pretty impressive run. He was bumped a little bit, and he was wide. So he's drawn inside. He might have I think he's just going to end up with a little bit better of a trip here, and that might be enough. I mean, in these turf races, sometimes that's all you need.
Fair enough. I was just curious. I wanted you to walk me through it because I know that was Caleb's A horse. I just wanted to see, you had it as a B, and then you're like, oh, maybe I'll upgrade it. I was just curious why you would.
Yeah, no, he was kind of in between for me, and like I realized that I was kind of narrow earlier. So, like usually, if I'm like real skinny, these in between horses, I'll move them up a little bit, and I kind of have it in my head like what I think is kind of in between. I mean, I really like 2 horses in the spot as A's. I have Ivar, or 3 horses. I have Ivar, Order of Australia, and some like a Hot Brown as A's. And I mean, if I'm only playing an A ticket, then I'll probably move up. I'll move up. Oh, what am I forgetting? Space Traveler. I don't think I had any other B horses here.
I have to ask, what did you guys think? Not to totally change the topic, but what did y'all think of the 3 here? I mean, we hear a lot of talk about Ivar, and I get it. He looks fine in here. And personally, I don't like him having the blinkers again. But regardless, he's a player in here for sure. But the other Paulo Lobo horse, the 3, coming in with the exact same pattern that Ivar had last year when he won this race. An allowance race in Kentucky, running in the Kentucky Downs, what used to be called the Tourist Mile, which is now the TVG Mile, and then going to what used to be called the Shadwell Turf Mile and is now the Keeneland Mile. He fits the pattern. He does sort of feel like the other Paulo Lobo, if that is such a thing. But the horse does have a win at Keeneland. Is coming in off of 2 wins, has improved in his last 2 starts here. I mean, at 20-1, did anyone here give this horse a second look?
I wouldn't. Again, it's one of those things. Talking somebody off a 20-1 shot's always a hard thing to do. I mean, you obviously know you're taking a bit of a flyer. That's fine. But my thought within Love is in his best races, who's he really beaten? There's not a lot of quality in those races. And then if you look at his Wise Dan, he got pretty much demolished by a field that's pretty decent. I just think he's sort of a horse that's been exposed from a class standpoint. But again, this is the target. I don't hate it, but I mean, and our chart has won the last 2 on this one. So and a horse that does seem to be in form as of late. So I don't hate it. I wouldn't talk somebody off at 20-1. It's just not a horse I want a lot of money running through, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, hey, Caleb, so since you're talking about 21s, how do you approach this from a stable point?
This is a tricky race from StableDuel because I think that it depends what your opinions are. If you have a strong opinion on anyone in this race, then you're going to get value. I mean, even if your favorite opinion is Order of Australia. Like if you really think that horse can win or should win, 7-2 is more than a fair price. For me personally, I really like Space Traveler. I think that's the likeliest, maybe second likeliest winner of the race. And I'm getting 6-1. That's how I'm going to approach it. But again, if you're looking to, you have better opinions elsewhere, you don't have a strong opinion here. An excellent race to take a shot with a horse like Field Pass at 12-1, or Diamond Oops at 15-1, the chat horse. In Love at 20-1. There's a lot of horses here at double digits that would not come as a surprise to me to win. So I think that it just depends what your opinions are on the rest of the card on the whole. But
Michael,
this is a good place to take a stab.
Michael's bringing up a really good point. He's saying that speaking of StableDuel, that these $75 to $150 contests with big guarantees have been overlaid the entire time.
Yeah.
There's been about it's usually about between 15 and 30% in free money in these contests with these big guarantees. And he says it's like inverse Parks takeout. Feels dirty to say, Parks. But we get to be Parks. So
I like that.
I will say the one negative, and I know it's something you brought up, Caleb, is like when these contests don't fill, the payouts are a little flat. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Like it's nice when you have a shitty day and you finish 12th and barely scored anything, and it's you get double your money back. But at the same time, it's kind of like if you finish 6th it's like you might as well finish 13th or 14th. So it gets a little tough. So it's really important that, especially in StableDuel, that like you're aiming for first, because if you min cash in StableDuel, like or you hit the cash line, unless you're like finishing in the top 3 or 4, you're usually only getting maybe 2 or 3x your money. So it's really important that you're trying to win, like, and not just cash. Unless you're playing like obviously like the double ups, triple ups, and that kind of thing, then your strategy is a little bit different. But that's a good point by Michael.
Caleb only finishes first or second. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Mark finished 67th one time.
Well,
I basically always finish last because I'm terrible at StableDuel. But no, and I was gonna actually, Nick had thrown up a question in chat, and I was gonna kind of go back to it. He was asking about we reference A and B, and how does an A/B system work. There's some videos on the On the Wrong Lead. You can look through an ABC style handicapping. When we're referencing A, B, and C's, A's are horses that if we're playing a sequence, we want on every single ticket. B's we want some coverage to, and C's we want a tiny bit of coverage to. It's just a way of breaking horses into groups that in determining how much coverage and how much exposure we want to a certain horse. So if we're saying a horse at a price is an A, we want a lot of exposure to that horse, or if a horse is a C, it just means we want a tiny bit of exposure. It's just a way of kind of putting them into broad categories.
Hey, it might be worth mentioning because a lot of people used to caveman tickets, and to go a step beyond that, Nick, just real quick, like I play a lot of caveman tickets where I'll take all of my opinions and I play them in a pick 5, and I'll be 5 by 4 by 2 by 3 by 4. Whereas Caleb and Josh and Mark, they leverage their opinions better with the ABC or AB method. So, I'm playing everything equally, and I'd be blasted on Twitter if I posted a ticket of it's a $144 pick 5, where Mark can hit the same ticket, but he's leveraged to his best opinions on maybe a $60 ticket. So, like Mark said, there's a lot of videos to watch, man. It's a good conversation to have, and it's always fun to talk about.
Yeah, ABC and handicapping is about how do you get more coverage and have it cost you less to do so. So you're leveraging up your best opinions, but you still have exposure to those outside prices. Most people handicap to a budget. They say, "Oh, I want to play this pick 5. I want it to cost me $150 or $100." Like let's say I have a $100 budget. I want to cover this pick 5. Well, the idea is either get it. How can you? If it chalks out, have it leveraged up so you hit it multiple times, and if you get a price or two, you want it so that you can catch those prices in a ticket structure. And ABC is just a way of doing so. It's a way of structuring tickets that way, and you're going to play multiple tickets in that regard.
And I'll tell you at least like my basic outlook when it comes to it. I usually only play like 2, maybe 3 tickets. Occasionally, like I'll play like a 4th or 5th, like. If I'm like really like trying to like hammer a sequence or really trying to like leverage it. But generally what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to essentially make it that if my strongest opinions hit, I'm hitting a jackpot, right? Like I'm like, hey, if these are the horses I think are most likely to come in, and if these horses hit, I want to hit this pick 3 or double pick 3, pick 4 multiple times. So that's just like from like the most basic way. It's just about trying to express your opinion stronger than just, hey, putting in one pick 5 ticket and hey, these are the horses I think they can win. So it's about just like finding like I play a spreadier ticket, might be like between like $50 and $100 in like a pick 5, and then I kind of narrow down my opinions in races and try and hit that multiple times. So, I mean, that's just a real, like I said, real basic approach. I know Mark's got a good video out there where he talks about the very like Steve Christ ABC, like, complete ticket like structure thing. Whereas mine is a little bit more, hey, I'm going to play a caveman ticket, but I'm also going to make sure I have leverage to my strongest opinions. Mark was mentioning too that the book is Exotic Wagering by Steve Christ.
Yeah, it's out of print now. But you can find it on like an eBay, and it's not that expensive. And it is, if you're somebody who wants to become a better person at structuring wagers. If your handicapping's okay, you're pretty decent at handicapping, but you just need to be a better player from a structuring wagers. It's the holy grail. It's probably the best book written on how to approach the ticket structuring game. Especially if you're looking at like things like super high fives, pick sixes, those more races or more longer sequences.
Michael said that he's heard it references the kill bet. I think
that's
Mike
more of a
Maloney.
Mike Maloney thing.
Mike Maloney thing. Mike Maloney always talks about making sure like you put like 75% of your day's budget through like your strongest opinion. And so that could be the same thing with like a pick sequence. Like maybe you have a single that you really like, and so you make sure that you have most of your money going through. We have an article. I know we had an article up that Stephen Fox, Evil Bob Dole, he wrote, and he talked about one of his bets and how he structured it. He's got a nice little spreadsheet that he uses, and I've used it with like constructing group tickets. I've constructed a couple group tickets. I know Mark uses it for constructing group tickets when we do stuff for the Discord. But no, Tommy Massis is the hammer. He's got just a hammer bet. He's got a slightly different structure where he's got like this like waterfall method where it's like if the bottom wager hits, then all of them hit. But it's kind of, it is kind of similar to that as well. But let's anything else that we want to talk about on this race? I know this is kind of a tough race. It's going to be a fun sequence. I think the pick 3 is going to be fun. I'll definitely toss in the wager with it, but is there anything else that we want to talk about this before we talk about Caleb's favorite race of the weekend?
No, I'm good. Again, really competitive. Honestly, really competitive entire card. Really good one to play if you're a StableDuel type person. There's a lot of races, and you're gonna be able to pick prices. You're not gonna be like, oh, I'm nitpicking horses because I don't have the budget. These are big competitive races all day long. Really good fields, and it's a real kind of handicapper's paradise type of a card.
See, I'm completely the opposite. I'm probably gonna play rolling doubles and exactas here because I think there's more value there for the way I play. And if you've watched long enough, you guys know I'm contrarian. I like to find that 10-1 horse, which, you hate to play a $150 pick 5 when you have a 10-1 horse as an A, but playing the exacta, it's a little different. So that'll probably be my logical approach just for my own style.
All right, go ahead, Mark.
I was just saying, I love this pick 5 sequence. This late pick 5 is one of the, probably in the last month or two, it's the sequence that I've most liked. I just think there's a ton of price potential, and it's a structuring paradise. So I really like the sequence.
Nick's asking a quick question before we move on to this last race. What horse will be the most singled in the sequence?
Golden Pal.
Yeah, Michael saying Golden Pal. Mark, Golden Pal. Brian, you're thinking Bells or Golden Pal?
One of the two. I mean, either one will be singled heavily.
I agree with Brian. Bells or Golden Pal.
Yeah, and honestly, like Golden Pal is probably the one that I'm going to try to beat the most. But I don't know. Like it'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting, like you were saying, or I forgot if it was you, Brian, or if it was Mark who was saying, or maybe it was even Caleb. I just named all three of you. But it'll be interesting to see if Golden Pal floats up from that 4 to 5 morning line.
Agreed. I like that Golden Pal's the first leg of the race because you can, or of the sequence, so you can see what's going to happen. But I really, I went back as we're talking, looking at it. There's only 6 horses in the Bells race. I mean, so maybe Bells gets singled more just because Fire Crow and Extravagant Kid have their loyal followers.
All right, cool. So the Caleb Knight Turf Classic, Grade 1, going 1.5 miles here at Belmont. So Caleb, we got Arklow, we got Rock Emperor, Cross Border, Channel Maker. Oh man.
Gouffroy's in there,
Yes.
Dude. Channel Maker's Lone Speed in this spot too. Oh goodness! I might be out there. I might need to get Road Warrior on the horn and be like, look, like bring a hose, Get the fire department down there and just water down this turf course, because Channel Maker needs a little cut in the ground, get Lone Speed out there, and maybe a little bit of upset here. Nick's already blowing up my spot here, but he said that Japan couldn't get out last time. This feels like he turns the table this time. Japan's my lone A in this spot. I don't know if this is, is this a win in your get in? I don't know if this is part of that pick 6 or not, but if it is, and I'll probably take a stab at it. I'm just going to single Japan in the spot. I'm going to try and get around Gufo, and I'm going to go with that trouble trip last time out. And, it wasn't much, but he only lost by a neck. So I think that I agree with Nick. I think Japan turns the tables here. Caleb, but I sorry I stole your thunder in your race, but
no, you can keep talking. That's fine.
He prefers Channel Maker anyway. It's okay. Anybody named Channel.
Boy, do I not like this race one bit. So, I mean, I think we can agree. Cross Border, Rock Emperor, and the fake Chad horse, what's his name? Serve the King, can't win this race. I mean, pretty much no combination of hell or high water can those horses win. Damn it if the other horses aren't hard to separate for me. I love Gouffroy. I've been a big fan of his. 8-5 though. That's really short for a horse that was, probably a little bit lucky to beat Japan last out. Had a better trip that day, and a race that was run kind of really weird, kind of slow-ish to the half, but then fast to the 6 furlong pole. It was a weird race. I mean, Rosario somehow won for 33. Like, what are you doing? How are you 1 for 33 in New York? I mean, what's going on? Like, you were fucking like 10 for 20 at Kentucky Downs to open the meet, and then Belmont starts, and all of a sudden you forget how to ride. Yeah. If I wasn't such a stubborn bastard, I would probably like Channel Maker a little bit here. I don't, because I am a stubborn bastard. But Josh, he is Lone Speed, and he is the definition of a textbook 3 cherry with some whipped cream special. So I'm going to go with you on Japan. He probably should. I don't want to say should have beat Gufo, but didn't get the best trip for sure last time out. And at 8-5 versus 5-2, Japan ran, not that much worse of a race. He's not the horse he used to be. I mean, there was a time when he would crush this field. He's not the horse he used to be, but he's still good enough to beat this field. And I like Japan here. There's really nowhere else I can go without feeling like a traitor. So, Arklow, Channel Maker, those are your probably, and, Gouffroy are your 3 most likely winners after Japan. But 2 of those 3 I can't bet, and one of them is a big underlay 8-5. So I end up on Japan.
Mark.
I'm going to 100% agree with Caleb, I think, here. I am between Japan and Gouffroy. Those are the 2 horses I want in this race, and I want nobody else. I think I realize Joao Rosario is absolutely atrocious right now in New York. 1 for 33 is impressively bad, but I guess there has to be a reversion to the mean after what he did at Kentucky Downs, where he won like literally half the races. But yeah, I think I've been a huge Japan fan since he was early in his 3-year-old season. I think he's prodigally talented. He got unlucky last time out, and I want I guess the 2 horses coming out of that Sword Dancer, and beyond that, I really can't make a case for anyone else in here. There's a lot of horses that Caleb loves to rant about who don't like winning, and there's a epic fake Chad in here. There's Brad Cox, who's 7% at Belmont lately. There's a lot of horses that are just massively suspect and have been massively exposed in here, and those are the only 2 that haven't. And I'll use them both equally in everything I have.
Man, I want to take Cross Border, but the Maker Barn's been so cold. I love when a horse comes back to go against somebody who just beat him, and Cross Border just got beat by Gouffroy in Japan in the Sword Dancer.
And this isn't the Saratoga Inner, the minor detail.
Little details don't matter. You know, I would love to be able to say, okay, yes, Luis, who's my favorite jockey, not named Lannery. You know, I love the price on Cross Border, but I think you guys are probably right. You know, can I argue that Cross Border gets first move? Sure, but it's one of those things where Cross Border probably gets past like the 16th, and then I'm sad as I watch, you know, Wayne Lorden make the victory dance. So I'll just default to Caleb's Japan and be happy. But I do like Cross Border, and if Cross Border floats up and somehow is double digits, I'll probably have a win bet on Cross Border.
Yeah, I think I just talked myself into making Channel Maker a B.
A to B.
Yeah, Mark A to B Capitan. I think that I pretty much agreed with Caleb, and I know I already talked to Japan's probably the lone A for me here. Gufo is just way too much of an underlay at 8 to 5 in the Memorial line, and if the horse gets bet down any more than that, I mean Japan just missed. Like I'll take Japan at like 2 to 1 or better, and if Channel Maker stays at 5 to 1, 6 to 1, I think in this short of a field without much pace pressure. I mean, Cross Border doesn't press the pace anymore. Channel Maker might just get loose out there. So, not really much else to say about that.
The scary thing is, even if Cross Border doesn't pressure, I mean, Channel Maker is coming back at what, a 113 on time form if you're lucky. I mean, a solid 10 or 12 points slower than Japan and Gufo. So I'm not sure if I could get there.
Yeah, but man, this is probably the longest stream we've done in a long time.
Sorry.
But no, it's good, man. I mean, Keeneland's fun. Keeneland's got big fields, a lot of turf racing. With Churchill being closed, I know we were, or their turf course being renovated. A lot of those horses they didn't have a place to run for a month, so I think Keeneland's going to have all of their turf races are going to be full. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun meet. We'll probably be talking Keeneland every week at least. Mark and I, once again, we're probably going to be firing away at Meadowlands tomorrow. I'll get something up on Twitter and on YouTube. But we'll probably be on for like the last 4 or 5 races.
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll post something up, and I don't know, Mark, if in between races, maybe we'll talk a little Belmont too. We'll talk a little bit more some of the other stakes races.
We can also talk a little bit of Santa Anita. The last couple of races of Santa Anita might be going live in that sequence as well, so we can probably talk them as well.
Cool. Yeah, so we'll probably look ahead a little bit more to Belmont tomorrow, and fire away a little bit at Meadowlands Turf just to have a little fun. But yeah, and thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for chat was awesome today. So we always appreciate when you guys talk. It makes things easier for us because otherwise, we just listen to Brian ramble for 2 hours. So
Really?
It's nice to break it up.
Beautiful man.
Mark talks.
Dude,
Mark talks about 4 horses in a 2-horse race, and you make jokes of me.
Yeah, but when Mark starts talking, I just zone him out. When you start talking, I pay attention. So it just feels like you talk a lot more.
Well, I'm just glad you pay attention. You know what? I can appreciate that.
Last question. Nick Feldman asking, Baby Yoda for real or no? Mark?
Yes, I think he's probably a single in that spot.
Caleb?
No. At the price, I'm going to make him prove it to me twice. There's better horses in there. There are more proven horses in there, so no.
Brian?
What do you think that's? Go ahead.
My name's Brian, not yours. My kids got Baby Yoda for Christmas. It was kind of cool. But I like Frenzy Fire. I think Frenzy's, as Caleb just said, is more proven. Make Bill Mott show me he can get there. I think it's interesting that, jockey change on Baby Yoda now, right? Jose's off. Luis is on. Let's see what happens.
I got Baby Yoda as a lone A in that spot, so.
I'm actually a big fan of, ironically enough, Josh's horse, Following Sea. I've seen him as high as 7 to 1 offshore. which to me is just crazy.
Ooh.
Dude, I think following C looks amazing in this spot. Just agreed.
You got to, I mean, yeah, he was crushing his last race, but Jackie's Warrior and Life was going to each be 1 to 5 in this race. So, yeah.
Right.
I actually,
Go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say the horse I like in there as a bit of a B is a stupid price, and that's good effort too. That horse has some back. Yeah, the turf horse, right? If you go back to that horse's dirt races, the Meydan Dubai races on time form, they fit very well with some of the best in here that Freezing Fire and Baby Yoda's have run. Obviously, he's got to prove it to me, but 15 to 1, I mean, you're going to get paid if he wins.
That's the only horse I tossed out.
Me too.
I mean, not to be that guy, but I mean,
but you're going to be that guy.
I was 3-4/5. You know, if I was to type this up to you, and on price alone, I may change that around. I may go 5 as an A and 3-4 as B, and say, okay, there you go, because I love Joel. You know, Frenzy Fire, I've bet against the last few times, and I've been right, but it seems like
hopefully it doesn't come back to bite you.
And it's Belmont. Frenzy Fire at Belmont is 7 for 11, 9 times in the money. So I mean, that's huge. The horse loves Belmont. So, but you know that has to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, I have a bit of hate there, but I wanted to ask either Caleb or any of you guys, what did you think of Baby Yoda's last fig that he threw at Saratoga? Do you think that fig is fluffed, or do you think that's legit?
I think it was fluffed because it was the closing date or closing of the meet, and they wanted to have huge numbers. I don't buy it.
I think it's fluffed, but I don't think it's way off. I guess I'll say. You know, Ducal, who ran third that race, ran a race similar to he ran. His speed figure from that allowance race came back similar to what he's been running. You know, did he just not improve? And these horses beat him by a furlong and run that much faster? I don't know. I think the fig's too fast, but I don't think it's dramatically too fast.
Yeah. I would say, because I was there and it was crazy visually impressive. So, and I saw what the fig came back, and I kind of scratched my head because sometimes those ones that are very visually impressive, the fig is inflated to some degree. It's just, I think not a factor of how fig makers do it, but more of a factor of how easy the horse had it. They weren't challenged. They sort of had it their own way, and that leads to a very big fig. I just, wanted to hear some opinions.
I think it's interesting when you start looking at how they've run back, hometown and crowded trade. So we're starting to see where that cycle should all pick up now. And I think we'll have a better answer before Breeders' Cup on how real Baby Yoda is.
You think he's a I don't know, pawn, or what are we thinking?
I don't know. I mean, it does feel super fluffed. I mean, it was a career best by what, like 24 points.
Depending on what you're looking at, it's like, depending on.
If you were to go by the sheets, you're going to sit there and argue that, okay, now is this horse a bounce candidate because it was a career best by a ton, So I think you'll have the sheet players tossing Baby Yoda come Saturday, and maybe that gives you that fake comfort level, fake value, just because the people that use rags in New York, there's so many of them. So maybe, maybe you get some value on Baby Yoda come Saturday. It'll be interesting to see.
Jerry Brown doesn't use his own product. We're on the wrong lead. We'll catch you guys later. Look, Jerry, if the sheets are all you need to win, how come you're using the workout reports? How come you got the DRF printed? Why you got a lot of people? Damn it, Jerry.